Greetings. My name's Sherwood Williford. We're here today to make some special presentations. The GranthamGrange is the organization sponsoring this event. We have been an organization for the benefit and for this as spokesman more or less for farmers for well over 100 years. On the 24th of this month, we'll be sponsoring a special banquet to honor particular outstanding people of this community. And for our Military Man of the Year, we've invited this young gentleman sitting beside me, Carlton Keen. The selection committee has nominated him and approved his nomination to be our Military Man of the Year. Carlton, we welcome you here today. We realize that you grew up in the Grantham community on a farm, and a lot of people won't know exactly who you were, and I didn't until a year or two ago. But I'd like for you to tell the folks really a little bit about your local family, your Grantham family, your brothers, sisters, siblings, mother, father, grandfather, anybody you want to talk about.
You bet.
In other words, we really want to know who you are.
Okay. So good morning. By the way, it's a great honor for me to be here, and I'm glad the timing was able to work out so I could be here for the interview. I grew up close to Jordan's Chapel Fire Department on Rayner Mill Road. When I grew up, it was Route 3, rural Route 3, Mount Olive, before the street signs came about. My mother and father are Don and Dorothy Keen. My father, Don, his parents were Louise and Cooper Keen, and my mother's parents were Joe and Nancy Grantham. I have one sister. Her name is Suzanne. She lives in Mexico. She has 2 children. And I'm currently stationed at Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. And I have a beautiful wife, her name's Tracy, and 4 children, ranging from ages 11 to 3 months old.
I wonder, knowing of course that you grew up on the farm, Carlton, do you feel like that those farm days and those farming experiences may have had some positive influence in your life?
Absolutely. I think, one thing that kind of strikes me as you look at the demographics, political demographics of how people voted, the rural communities tend to have a different view on philosophically on life maybe than you saw in urban areas. And I think the reason for that is there tends to be a more of a work ethic, an ethos, a sense of community, not coercion, but a voluntary sense of community where people look after each other and try to look out for their neighbor and people who are down and out. And I think that has translated over to myself, the work ethic, the loyalty, and the patriotism to my country. Those type of values I learned growing up on a farm, and it's been invaluable to who I am today.
Great. We appreciate that. Based on what I know about you, young man, you've always had a thirst for education. You went to Grantham School as a youngster. Do you have any particular recollections of someone there or in that organization who may have had a positive influence on your life?
You bet. So I'd say one of the I've had a lot of great teachers. Absolutely, I could name all the teachers that I've had through the grades, but one that stood out was my 2nd grade teacher. Her name was Miss Elba Jordan, and she lives out on Highway 13 still, and she just had a love for learning, and she had a deep curiosity about things. I remember she would take us out to a ditch bank that was on the property line of Grantham School, and we would just look at the most mundane things, a blade of grass or an insect or a tree, and she was able to bring things out about those very mundane things in a way that just fascinated me. And she always just kind of gave us this sense that there was something greater, a greater purpose in life than just ourselves. And I just, even today, and it's been over 30 years ago, I still remember those class lessons in life.
Well, I can tell you, Carlton, from what I understand, Miss Elva is still living. So if you have an opportunity, you might want to get by and say hello.
You betcha.
I'm sure she would appreciate that. Well, now after Grantham School, of course, the consolidation of the school back in the 60s, I think you went on over to Southern Wayne High School. Did you have some similar experiences there that has spurred your need for an education, further education? Or?
You bet. So a lot of great teachers. Matter of fact, I just ran into a former faculty member of Southern Wayne this morning, and they had a deep impact on my life. I think one teacher that really had a deep impact was Miss Kennedy. She was actually the librarian, and I was on the quiz bowl team. She ran the quiz bowl team, and she, again, one of these ladies that had a thirst for knowledge and a curiosity about life, and she grilled us while we were preparing for the debates. She really grilled us and increased our knowledge base, and we won. We won in at the county level, competed in the state, did very well, and she really encouraged me to go farther and pursue a higher education. So I'm really grateful for her impact on my life.
You know, Carlton, I think people really, most of us, underestimate the power and the opportunities that good teachers gave us in life, helping us from that transition period from what we consider a young man to an adult. It sounds good to hear you talk about that. Now, I know you're one not to brag very much, but I understand you did pretty well scholastically over at Southern Wayne High School. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
You betcha. So I was very fortunate to be the valedictorian of the high school, and that was a tremendous honor. Really opened the doorways. Followed scholarships and things like that. Really opened a lot of doorways for me. I also had a chance. It was the inaugural year of the Southern Wayne varsity soccer team, so I was able to letter in soccer and be part of that very first team. We didn't do that well. It was a tough season to begin with, but the soccer team has come a long way, and Southern Wayne's actually competitive now.
Okay, again, let's go back to Southern Wayne. Apparently that had a great influence in your life, your years over at Southern Wayne. In addition to those you've mentioned already, were there maybe coaches or teachers or administrators that stand out to you as maybe giving you a boost along the way and a desire for learning?
You bet. So I mentioned Mrs. Kennedy, of course. There was another teacher. Her name was Mrs. Rolanda Best. She was my mathematics teacher, and she really helped me understand mathematics in a way that I probably hadn't grasped until I was in her algebra class. And obviously I went into, I studied electrical engineering at North Carolina State, and obviously that's a very mathematics intensive major. And I think because of her ability to teach math and promote an interest in math, it kind of turned me toward that career field. So
math is certainly not a great love that some of us possess, so I admire you for that. After high school, I'm sure you had ambitions to go ahead and pursue further education. What inspired you to select the college you went to and the field that you actually majored in after high school?
You bet. So I had an uncle on my mother's side of the family's, John Philip Grantham, and he was a civil engineer, and I always greatly admired him. And he taught me a lot about engineering. He thought it might be a very worthwhile endeavor. So I like mathematics, I like physics, so that's kind of what I decided to study. I went into electrical engineering because my father he worked as an electrician for many years. So it was kind of a collusion of a lot of different interests and a lot of people kind of pouring into my life to help sharpen my focus and sharpen my interests.
In college, did you do as well academically, putting you on the spot now, as you did in high school?
I think I did reasonably well. I studied electrical engineering. I got my bachelor's and master's in that, and I was summa cum laude. It was a lot. It's certainly more difficult at the college level than it is at the high school level. But I do believe that high school prepared me for that next step.
Great. And during your college years, somewhere along the way, you must have made the decision to pursue a military career as opposed to some type of civilian work. How did that come about? You
bet. So I was in graduate school at the time. I did not go through ROTC. And I had interned at a electrical utility company for about 5 years. They had offered me a job, and a very generous offer, and I just kind of felt a sort of restlessness. And I was talking to the lead engineer there at the company, and he said, "You know what I would do if I were you?" He said, I'd go join the Air Force and see if you couldn't fly fighter jets. And when he said that, I said, "That's exactly what I'm going to do." So it was that drastic. It was that sudden. I came home and told my parents. They were kind of amazed that I was going to pursue that, but that's where my life took a dramatic turn.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about what career you pursued in the Air Force and what you're doing today?
You bet. So predominantly in my career, I've been in aviation. I've flown. I started out here at Seymour Johnson, flew the F-15E Strike Eagle. Last 4 years, I was up around the Seattle area, flying F-18 Super Hornets. So pretty much fighter aircraft for my entire career. Right now, I'm at the United States Strategic Command at Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. And the Strategic Command is in charge of the nation's nuclear, cyberspace, and space forces. So I work there in an operational capacity. I'm not flying, so it's a little slower pace than I'm used to, but it's still interesting work.
This is not a particular question that I had planned to ask you, but there must be a certain euphoria in being able to fly up into the sky and look down upon the earth. Could you talk about that just a little bit?
You bet. So to me, I've got several thousand hours of fighter aircraft time. Taking off and slipping the surly bonds of Earth is an experience unlike none other. I've had the chance to fly in combat. I've landed on carriers. I've dropped weaponry. I've been supersonic. I've flown in large force exercises. It's been absolutely incredible to have an aviation career in the Air Force, and it's a privilege and honor to have served my country in that capacity.
Somewhere along the way in all of your work and your flying and so forth, you took the time to seek out and find something else. Most of us call that a wife. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
You bet. So
how you met?
I met her when I was doing initial flight training at Pensacola, Florida, and we went to church together. And I liked her. We dated for a little bit, for a few months. Didn't work out, but we kept in contact. And 7 years later, I happened to be back in the area around Thanksgiving, and she invited me to Thanksgiving meal. And I don't know, she came out in this little red apron, and after that it was on. So we got married. I was about 10 years into my Air Force career at that time. We got married, and the rest is history. But
and so you blame it on the red apron?
yes, I blame it on the red apron.
Let me ask you to expand a little bit. After you got married, of course, where did you get married, by the way? Where were you living at that time? In Pensacola still?
No, I was living at Seymour Johnson at the time.
Okay.
But we got married at the church that we met at in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay. Does church still have a pretty important role in your family's life, Carlton?
You bet, you bet. So currently we attend Emmaus Bible Church in Omaha, and a fantastic church. I got saved relatively late in life. I was born again in 2009 after I got married. Like I was telling you, Jesus Christ is the most important person in my life, and he's the foundation of everything I do. So church has a very important place in my life, and I try to teach my boys to follow in that same path of faith as well.
That's extremely important. You know, our organization, the Grange, has somewhat the same principles and the same feeling throughout our organization. We're glad to see that you have continued with your church activities. Tell us a little bit now, after you were married, of course, you decided that two wasn't enough in your family. What did you do after that?
So we had been married for about 3 months, and probably going to do like a lot of couples, just her and I for several years. But 3 months into our marriage, things happened, and we had our first boy. His name is Colton. He's 11 years old now. And, we really enjoyed having children so much that we wanted to enlarge our family.
Okay. So how old is the oldest one again?
He's 11 years old.
And the youngest is?
Is 3 months old.
I've got you. That's quite a span, but I know you enjoy and love every one of them.
You bet.
You named, I noticed that unusual name for your third son. Could you tell us what his name is and why you named him that?
Sure. His name is Grantham. And my mother's maiden name was Grantham. Joe and Nancy Grantham were her parents again. And obviously I love Grantham, the Grantham Township. That's where I grew up and went to school. So it's really funny. My wife has chosen all the names of our children. I have input, but she I don't know, she has a way with names. she liked the Grantham name, and his middle name is Cooper, which is my grandfather's name. So we've been very democratic about how we choose names.
All right. Do you have any particular words you'd like to say in closing here, Carlton, as to your feelings toward your home community, the Grantham community? After all, we are the Grantham Grange. We're going to pay tribute to you here on the 24th. Unfortunately, your leave was scheduled so you couldn't be here that night, and that's why we're doing this little filming segment to show that evening when the presentations are made. Do you have any general overall closing remarks that people might let them know why Grantham is such a great community?
You bet. So again, it's a tremendous honor and privilege to receive this award. I'm really stunned that you guys would even consider me for that. So Grantham will always be deep in my soul. I grew up here. I've worked the land. I've grown up with people. Friends have died. Friends have had children and gotten married. I've seen the cycle of life here in Grantham, and there's no other place on this earth. I've been all over this planet and seen some very exotic, wonderful locations, but at the end of the day, there's no other place on earth that would compare to the great folks here at Grantham.
Carlton, this is not part of my planned interview, but I realize and believe that you had an uncle who lost his life in defense of his country. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you know a little about that you could share with the folks?
Sure, you bet. He was a Joe Milton Grantham III. We called him Buddy, and he was in the Marines. He was an infantryman in Vietnam, and he was killed in action in 1967. Real interesting story with that is. A state senator from Pennsylvania came down and visited probably 15 years ago at this time. But Buddy had saved his life during the action in which Buddy was killed. So we're really proud of that. One of the barracks down at Cherry Point, the Marine Corps Air Station at Havelock, is named in his honor. So we're really proud of what he did in behalf of his country. We obviously miss him, but He to me embodies what it is to be a person from Grantham who loves their community and loves their country.
Well, Carlton, I think that pretty much concludes this part of our interview. I want to thank you on behalf of the Grantham Grange for your service to your country and for being here with us today.
You bet.
Okay, thank you so much.
Our military person of the year is from the Grantham community. He grew up here and he graduated from Southern Wayne High School in 1989. He lettered in soccer and was the valedictorian of his class. In 1994, he got his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from NC State University in Raleigh. In 1995, he got his Master's in Electrical Engineering from NC State. 2003, Squadron Officer School at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. 2008, Air Command and Staff College in Correspondence. In 2010, Command and General Staff College in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. 2013, Air War College in Correspondence. And in 2015, Joint and Combined Warfighting School, Joint Services Staff College in Norfolk, Virginia. He has had numerous assignments beginning in November of 1996 and is currently the Chief of the Special Technical Operations Plans Branch at U.S. Strategic Command, Joint Functional Component Command, Global Strike at Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. He's had a lot of different awards and decorations. One of them is that he has received the Meritorious Service Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Air Force Commendation Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Navy Commendation Medal, the Navy Achievement Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Korean Defense Service Medal, the Nuclear Deterrence Operations Service Medal, and the Navy Pistol Marksmanship Medal. He is the son of Don and Dorothy King, his wife Tracy. They have 4 children, 4 boys. Colton is 11, Jackson is 9, Grantham is 6, and Ricky is 3 months old. Grantham Grange is proud to honor Colonel Select D. Carlton Keen as our Military Person of the Year.
Okay, for 6 years now, the Grantham Grange has been recognizing personnel, military personnel of our community and surrounding area. We realize that you have to make certain and many sacrifices to serve our country. We also recognize that our freedom depends on personnel as you. It is the Grantham Grange honor and special privilege to present this Military Person of the Year to ColCarltonKeen, Colonel Carlton Keen.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a
Thank
great
you.
honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hood. I appreciate it.